Ooh, what up, no? It is another Thursday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and it is another fight week. We've got UFC 305 coming your way this Saturday. And if we're going to talk about fights, who better to do it with than our homie Dropzone? The last time he came through, we were making money on these parlays. So if you're of the betting persuasion, you need to make sure you stay tuned to this show. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about our homies and the sponsors of this fine show at Potter's Tree Service. If you're in the need of tree removal, tree trimming, chipping service, walnut damage cleanup, walnut logging, lot clearing, and now they'll even cut your grass. Check out the video. Check all the stuff that Potter's Tree Service can do for you, and tell them Knockouts and Three Counts sent you. And while you're doing it, enjoy the show.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Rock, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got it from their world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
What up, though, ladies and gents? This is our maiden voyage on Body Slam, but any of you guys that have been following Body Slam for a little while know I am Kyle Collison, your host of Knockouts and Three Counts. Corey and J-Bone couldn't be here tonight, but I've got a great guest with us tonight. The last time he came through, I was winning money. We were winning money. Hopefully, we're all going to be winning money when you make your bets this weekend on UFC 305. So who better to do that with than the homie himself, Dropzone. Good to have you back on the show, my man.
Good to be back, brother. Came back here to make some people some money. I'm ready. UFC 305 is going to be a banger. I know you're excited for it. I'm here to give out a parlay and give out a bet for each one of the fights in the main card. Let's go, man. I'm excited for this one. Thank you for having me back.
Let's start there. Let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff. And tell me how you're feeling about UFC 305 as I get this shared out so we can get some more people on here.
No problem. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Just dropped our first YouTube video, and on TikTok, I have Dropzone 211, just like that. And UFC 305, the main card is looking like a huge banger. We got Adesanya versus Plessis. Great title fight. Adesanya is looking to get back that belt. And as well, we're looking at Tai Tuivasa versus Big Boy. That should be a banger fight. Looking at a KO finish as well. We got Mateus Gamerock versus Dan Hooker. That should be a good fight as well. We got the Michael Scott of UFC, Steve Erceg versus Kai Car-France, which is also going to be a great fight as well, too. Really excited.
I'm just going to say, I've been needed to go to Australia for a long time. Never got to do that yet. Australia is definitely somewhere on, my list of places that I've got to hit because awesome. I'm just saying, man, Australia looks like it's always got dope-ass weather. I want to see a real-life kangaroo. There's a lot of shit I need to do in Australia. I was supposed to be a foreign exchange student over there at one point, and that never happened. But, yeah, dude, no bullshit. I was supposed to go over there until they tell you, yeah, you got to fly on the same plane as everybody else, so then you got to pay an arm and a leg. And my parents were like, yo, I ain't got that kind of bread right now. If they would have just let me fly on my dad's flight benefits, we'd have been all right. I'd have flew for free. But that would be sick. You know what we're going to get for free is good betting advice and win us some money with UFC 305. I already asked you, what you thought about some of this card. We're going to go over the main card mostly in this one. For me, man, I'm with you. I feel like the main card really is where the money's at. I mean, I think a lot of people can agree. Some of the last shows that we've been getting, you don't always get as much either, whether that be in the prelims or if we're talking about some of these fight nights that we've had recently. But to your point, I really think that we're going to be in for one hell of a fight this weekend. So with that said, what's the standout fight for you outside of the main event?
Outside the main event, my standout fight would be, I think just because it's an interesting matchup. I like the Steve Erceg and Kai Car-France fight. I think both fighters have different styles of fighting, and I like the fact that they're matching this up since Steve Erceg lost against Pantoja in Brazil for the championship belt. And I just think that's a very interesting matchup, and I'm looking forward to that fight. And as well, I like the Tai Tuivasa and Big Boy fight as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that Tai Tuivasa fight. We're going to have to see if my man's is going to be doing another shoey out here, but I feel like
I'm dying to see one.
Hey, man, I would like to see one too. You know, I also like Biggie Boy as well. Biggie Boy can throw down, but man, if there were any fight on this card where I would say like somebody needs a win, like Tony Ferguson needed a win against Michael Chiesa, it's Tai Tuivasa. He's a fan favorite, but bro, if he goes down like he has in the last couple fights, man, this could be the end of the run. As far as the run for Tai Tuivasa. What up, though, Bree? What fights are you looking forward to this weekend? So for me, as far as outside of the main event, I feel like Urseg and Kai Kara France is going to be one hell of a fight. But I feel like now that I actually go and look through some of these fights, man, the thing is, it's not the only fight like that. Because if you really think about that, even though Dan Hooker is ranked 11th, man, Dan Hooker will get in there and bang with anybody. He's always fun to watch. He's a great fight to watch. But you gotta realize, like, I feel like he's kind of in the same boat, really. When you look at if he loses this fight to Kai Kara France, it could be like one of the last ones where he's getting like the upper echelon talent. I mean, he is ranked number 11, so even I would assume with a loss, he'd still be within the top 15. But again, I just feel like Hooker has a lot riding on this fight, bro. How do you feel about that fight?
I think Dan Hooker as well, like, just needs this win because as well too, Gamrot is looking at a potential title shot after this win. If he gets the win, he will be the next going for a title shot against Islam Makhachev in the lightweight division, and that should be very interesting since both fighters are wrestlers. But if Hooker can get the win on Gamrot, I can see him going against maybe another top 5 opponent, and then bomb, he's right back to a title shot. So a lot rides on this for Hooker as well too, especially because he's such a UFC veteran and has been in the game for so long, and who has fought some of the best, and it always gives entertaining fights, especially the one against Dustin Poirier. That is one of the best fights in UFC ever. So I would love Hooker to get the win and give us a really entertaining fight.
I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of Dan Hooker. I would love to see Dan Hooker be able to do that. It'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. And we've already got some people chiming in on the comments of who they think is going to win this. If you guys are watching this, make sure you share it, retweet it, let everybody know that you're watching, let them know where to find out. If you want to win some money, we're going to help you do that. But Bree is chiming in, talking about probably the main event. She's got Duplessis. Wow. I mean, I can't argue that. I mean, Duplessis had quite the showing in his last fight. But I don't know, man. I was just telling you before we hit the button that I was watching the UFC 305 countdown. And after watching that, I feel like we're seeing a refocused, reinvigorated Israel Adesanya headed into this fight. And on top of that, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because that could be a double-edged sword. Because remember, Izzy was saying that he was going to take a lot of time off, and then when the Duplessis fight got, rumored, then he was ready to come back. He was ready to come back and fight a lot quicker and a lot sooner than originally planned. I don't know if that's going to affect him in this fight, because the motivation that he seems to have to fight Dricus, I think could fuel him as well. But you know what they say, I mean, emotions can either be a really good thing or a really bad thing in a fight. So, I mean, it kind of just depends on what Izzy shows up. Now, if Duplessis can get the win on this, Duplessis gets the win on this one, I feel like that goes a long way to making him a legit as a middleweight champ. And I mean, to steal a wrestling term, if he loses, it's just going to make him a transitional champ. Like, okay, you were the champ, you beat Sean Strickland. But then when you got in there with the upper echelon like Izzy, again, this is why I feel like Izzy has so much to lose in this fight, because if he doesn't get his title back on this one, it's going to be like, what's really worth, him fighting for after that? Is it going to be to make another run for the title? Is it going to be something to where we get into like the BMF range where he's just taking the best, like firefights that they can get? I feel like this fight is what's going to keep Izzy in the discussion of, that championship material.
Yeah, I agree. I think Adesanya really needs this win as well too, because we've never seen Adesanya in a situation where he had to, like, since like way before back in the past, where he had to move up and get the title shot. He's been getting back-to-back title shots and everything, and as well, like this will put him in a situation where he'll have to move up again in the rankings, and we don't even know where he'll be placed if he loses this fight. And as well too, like the loss with Strickland was a really tough loss. I mean, it kind of showed a lot of flaws that Asanya does have in his fighting style, especially when he fights a pressured fighter. And Strickland was one of those. He pressured them the entire time, and it was like kind of close to, like, kind of a beatdown. And I think Adesanya is looking to recover from that and get the belt back, reclaim the king of the throne, and as well, like with Duplessis, this would be, like, if he loses, then yes, it would put him as a transitional champion, especially to losing your first title defense. But Duplessis as well is a good pressure fighter. But as well, when he fought Strickland, that was a very close fight. I low-key thought Strickland won that fight by a little, but as well, he was still able to get the win. But at the same time, I think this is for both fighters, this is big. That's why I think a lot of the hype in this title fight is enormous, because both fighters really need the win for legacy wise.
I agree. I think this is more about like the ultimate story of these guys' careers. Shout out to everybody that's joining the stream. Got about 75 of you guys in here right now. If you guys are watching, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, whether that's Body Slam, whether that's over here at Knockouts and Three Counts. Make sure you check it out, because if you paid attention to our social media, we're talking all about the UFC today. But Bound for Glory, TNA is making their way back to Detroit, and it's already been confirmed by TNA. This Tuesday, we will have a very big guest for Bound for Glory and talking about its return to Detroit coming this Tuesday. And we will have another guest from TNA coming next week as well. So make sure you're following us on all the socials so that you don't miss any of that. Please hit the subscribe button, share, like button, all the buttons, and let everybody know you're watching. But let's talk about some fights. So, all right, the first fight on the main card is a guy who, again, if you watch our show for any length of time, you know that Bobby Nash is a homie of ours, former UFC fighter, former Bellator fighter. His fight, he fought Li Jingliang. He's been a guy who's been kind of on the shelf for a little while with injuries and all that stuff, but the Leech has got some power on him. So if Carlos Prates comes in here and he just thinks he's going to walk through the Leech, I don't know that that's how I see that fight going. Like, I'm just going to be honest. I don't know that he's going to walk right through him by any means. I think it's a good test for Prates. I'm a little bit newer to Carlos Prates, but I mean, obviously, like I said, this will be a win over a tough vet like that for him. Dropzone, how you feeling about this fight? Where do you think we go with this fight between Carlos Prates and Li Jingliang?
This fight is very, very interesting. I love the matchup, low key, and the Leech hasn't fought since September of 2022. And they're giving him a tough test. Carlos Prates is already 2-0 in the UFC, won both by KO. He's a great striker. He has kind of the same fighting style as Alex Plata, low-key. And as well, I think the Leech has a big test for him in this fight. If he can get this win, I think this will be huge for him. But if Prates can get this win, this as well can put him already against a top 15 ranked fighter in the welterweight division, because Prates, he's nice. I mean, this guy, the way he KOs people, they go down, and his power, he has powerful strikes. I mean, this guy is really, really strong. And how I look at this fight for the Leech to win would to be, as much as you can, go for the level change and go for takedowns. We haven't seen this man on the floor like that. So I think his way, the key to victory in this one would be for him to go for takedowns, see if he can get him on the floor, get the good grappling in. But if I had to go with my favorite bet in this fight, I agree with what you said. I think this would not be a walk in the park for Prates, even though he as good as he is. I like the over 1.5 rounds in this fight at minus 160. I think that's a great parlay leg, or as well straight up bet.
Okay, so we're going over a round and a half. Who do you got as prediction on the win on this one? Who's going to win this one?
If I had to pick the prediction, I would have to take Prates by decision. Just because I think if he doesn't get the takedown, I think he's gonna outstrike him in this one. but as well, the Leech has never been KO'd in the UFC, so we have to give him credit to that. We have to give credit to that as well. But I do think in the striking, I think Pratis hasn't beat here, and I would, if I had to pick who to win, I would pick him by decision at plus 275. But my favorite bet is the over 1.5.
So I'm kind of in the same boat with you with that one. I didn't know as much about Pratis. I know a lot about Li Jingliang from watching him fight some of the homies and seeing some of his fights. But there's something to be said about momentum, and this is definitely one of those fights. I talk about it on the show all the time. I'm a big believer in momentum. But this is one of those fights, man. When you really look at it, Li Jingliang is really being brought in here to be. You got on one side, you've got the test of it for Pratis, and on the other side of it, you've got Li Jingliang trying to come back and prove to people that he's still where he was when he left. I feel like the time off in between the fights, whether that be for injury or whatever, I think may affect him against Pratis. And so as far as a prediction, I'm going to go with Pratis, but I like that bet that you were talking about with the over a round and a half. I don't think he's going to get the leech out of there that quick. If he does get the leech out of there that quick, then we're talking about a whole different conversation. And I think Pratis is going to be a problem for guys to move forward. But if I'm picking, I got Pratis, but I don't think he's going to be able to. It's not going to be a first round knockout, in my opinion.
Like second or third round, around there.
If he gets a finish, it's going to be second or third round, but I could definitely see it going to decision, kind of like you were talking about.
Yeah. I could see a late finish as well too. Just because I picked decision, it's because I give the Leech some credit on the fact that he's never been KO'd in the UFC. I think he has great endurance. I think he could take damage very well. When he fought Chimaev and everything, Chimaev landed some strong hits on him, and he was still not able to go down. It took him to get the submission on him to get the victory. So I'm going to give him some credit, but as well too, if Pratis is as strong as he is, then he's going to probably get the KO on him on a late finish. But I gave Leech a little bit of credit, and I like him by decision. But that's just my bet.
I'm with you, man. Like I said, that's kind of where I'm leaning with this one. Everybody who's watching out, we got about 81 of y'all watching the stream right now. Let us know in the comments what you've got, how you guys are feeling about this fight. Bree says she's got Duplessis. How are we feeling about this one? All right. Next fight we got on the card. Now, this fight is interesting to me. We're either going to get a shoey or it could be a problem for Tai Tuivasa as he goes in there with Biggie Boy, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Like we talked about, there's a lot of crossroads fights on this one, in my opinion, because I think Tai Tuivasa is still a fan favorite, and I think that there's no arguing that. But losing the way he's lost his last couple fights, man, you can only do that so many times. And here we go again with another matchup where he's facing a guy in Rozenstruik who that guy can knock you out anywhere it goes to. That's really what he's known for. So this is really one of those live by the sword, die by the sword fights for me. I'm gonna be honest, bro. Again, I've said it before, and those who watch our show know I'm a big believer in momentum. Something tells me that Rozenstruik is going to be able to capitalize on the misfortune of Tai Tuivasa in this fight. So I'm picking Rozenstruik over Tai Tuivasa. Who you guys got?
Back to me.
I was just putting in the comments, but who you got up next? Who you got on that one?
Oh man, this is going to be a banger of a fight. Tai Tuivasa, please. I'm dying to see a shoey. We haven't had one in so long. We need to do one, especially in your home country, Australia. It has to happen. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. Big boy Rozenstruik is looking to get in the top 10 rankings of heavyweights, and this win would do that. There's both a lot on the edge of this and everything, but as well, it's gonna be a banger of fight. Both have KO 10 KOs in their career, and both do not grapple at all. So we're looking at great striking. Rozenstruik does have a great jab, and I think that's what got him the win over Gaziev, which made him quit during the fight. But with Tai Tuivasa, he has more power in his hits. it's all about if you can get a good counter in there and land something nice, then Tai Tuivasa could come out the win. But as well, I don't really see him getting the win. I think Rosenstrike is on a good momentum run as well, too. I do see Rosenstrike getting maybe the KO in the later rounds around round 2, round 3. His KO predictions at minus 160 right now. But my bet for this fight would be for it to go past round 1 at plus 100. I don't think it happens in round 1. I think I like it even more at round 2 at plus 300, like for the fight to end in round 2 plus 300. But I think it goes past round 1. I give both some credit, to go past round 1.
Okay, so we're going round 1 and then past round 1, and then what was the pick on this one?
The pick on this one is for it to go past round 1, but if I had to pick who would win, I think Big Boy Rosenstrike by KO at minus 160.
All right, we got questions for you in the comments. It says, Ryan, are you Gorilla Nem's younger brother?
I have no idea who that is.
I don't either. Fill us in. If there's something I need to check out that I'm missing, man, let me know. Like I said, all of you guys that are new here to bodyslam.net, this is Knockouts and 3 Counts. You can go back and check out our coverage for Body Slam of Survivor Series from last year, the Royal Rumble this year. We were just at SummerSlam in Cleveland. And like I said, if you guys are fans of TNA, we've got you covered with Bound for Glory coming to Detroit. Stay tuned. I let Dropzone know we got some heat coming your way the next couple weeks. And on the fight side of things, we're going to be joined by the champ. The champ is here. Christine Faria will be joining us back here on Knockouts and 3 Counts. Stay tuned for that next week. Don't you disrespect me on YouTube. Oh, shit. All right, we're already starting off this one with a bang. Tom, you got any picks? How you feeling for UFC 305, my guy? All right. Next fight, we got Mateus Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Now, again, I'm telling you, I just feel like this is the theme of this fight card is that we've got guys who are in must-win situations straight up. Like, they have to get a dub here or we're going to have a problem.
Yeah. Exactly that. A lot of the fights on here are heavy favorites besides the main event, which is the closest odds that Adesanya has ever been in a title fight or even a fight in a while. I mean, these guys have very close odds, but everything else under the main event are heavy favorites. So we could be looking at a potential underdog win here in one of them, but it's looking like a favorite fight main card in this one. So
I mean, you always hear A side, B side, and it definitely feels like in this fight they're gonna, make it to where either they're big stars like a Tuivasa, or in this case, a Hooker who's getting to fight in Australia like that. I feel like either the vet that everybody likes is gonna get their chance to shine, or Gamrot's gonna do the same as we might see from Rosenstrike, and he might take the big star out. As far as the fight itself, again, I'm a big fan of Dan Hooker. I think Dan Hooker has a lot to show. But I also feel like Dan Hooker has been in a lot of wars, and Dan Hooker is never afraid to get into a war, which is why so many are fans of him. But the problem with that is that he's taken a lot of shots, and I feel like a guy like Mateus Gamrot is going to be a problem for Dan Hooker. Now, the energy of Australia could maybe help Hooker in this one, but if you ask me who I think is going to win, I'm going with Gamrot on this one.
Same. I'm as well going Gamrot here. Gamrot is on a 3-fight win streak. He has won the last 7 out of his 8 fights. Like I said, a lot of people are not fans of him because he's not the most entertaining fighter and he doesn't have like a lot of highlights, but he is an elite grappler, and I think that's going to be one of the key factors on him beating Hooker. And, Hooker has never fought with somebody that has had really extreme grappling like Gamrot has. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hooker has fought the best of the best, but Gamrot is just an elite grappler. And as well, too, we're going to see a lot of takedowns by him. In his last fight, Gamrot got over like 11 takedowns. And I think he's going to do the same to Hooker to get that secure win. As well, too, if Gamrot has a lot on the line in this fight. If he wins, he will begin a title shot against Islam Makhachev. He will get that title shot. It's already, I think Dana White already said that. But as well, if Hooker gets the win, that can put him to another top 5 ranked opponent and maybe get him a title shot.
Well, and if you really think about it, to your point, even about what you were saying, yeah, he may get a title shot if he wins this fight, but let's not forget, Dan Hooker is lower down in the ranks. If Gamrot loses this fight, this is a big problem. He's going to take a jump down the ranks, and I mean, it's going to shoot Dan Hooker right back up the ranks. Yeah. So, I mean, again, this whole fight, man, it's like the double-edged sword. You got one guy who's trying to keep his spot while you got somebody else trying to take that spot. And it all I really feel like as cliche as it sounds, it all really kind of comes down to what Dan Hooker shows up in this fight.
Yeah, exactly. And what makes it more like intense for Gamrot is the fact that Sarukian was actually the one that was supposed to get the title shot against Islam Makhachev. But if you guys remember, Sarukian got suspended for how long? Suspended for 9 months for punching that fan at UFC 300. So now that he got suspended,
Dummy. Yeah,
Gamrot is now getting the title shot and everything. But it was actually supposed to be Sarukian that was supposed to get it. But now that they said that Gamrot will get the title shot, he has a lot more on the line for this one. And if I had to pick my bet, it's pretty simple. Gamrot by decision, -125, and that's the only bet I'm taking this fight. I think it's just a very easy bet for me to take on this one. I just can't pick Hooker against Gamrot. I think they're giving him a really tough fight with this one, especially since Gamrot has a lot on the line and the elite grappler that he is. I just don't really see Hooker getting the win this one. I think he's going to put up a tough fight, but I think he's going to be on his back most of the fight, and I like Gamrot by decision.
Not mad at that. Like I said, I got Gamrot. I don't really see him finishing Dan Hooker unless he just mauls him, which, I mean, he's capable of doing that, but I think it goes more the way you're going. I think if I had to choose on a finishing method, I'd say that this one's probably going to be a decision as well.
Yeah.
All right. Next fight that we got on this card, Kai Kara France in the co-main event here. Number 4 against Steve Erceg, a guy who just got to fight for the title in a high-stakes flyweight belt. I like this fight. And what makes this fight interesting is you got Kai Kara France coming out of New Zealand. You got Steve Erceg coming out of Australia. We're getting down in Perth for this one. Bro, this is going to be a lot better fight. To be honest, even though Steve Erceg had been climbing up the ranks and stuff like that, he's not the most flamboyant or boisterous of guys. So I wasn't so sure what I thought of him, but he keeps staying up here at the top of the rankings against a guy like Kai Kara France. If he can get a dub in this one, I mean, that's going to do a lot to turn some heads. That said, though, as far as who I would take in that, I feel like the big fight experience is going to serve Kai Kara France in this one. And I feel like he feels like he has a lot to prove in this fight as well. So even though I think Erceg is a very good fighter, he's top of the line. But with that said, I think Kai Kara France gets the dub.
You know what's crazy? I was this close to picking Kai Kara France as the underdog win. I think it would be a win that nobody will see coming, especially people who are bettors and stuff like that. Because one thing when it comes to betting that I noticed that I've been doing for 10 plus years, especially for UFC and everything, betting UFC, there is always, and this is just a tip for you guys, there is always a parlay killer. And a lot of people have Erceg to win this fight, and I think this could be a win for Kai Kara France as well too, that nobody will see coming because Steve Erceg is a very well-rounded fighter. He has good striking, he has good wrestling, but Kai Kara France as well. Kai Kara France as well too. Chances of bringing a lead. Oh my God,
he might get his ass whooped in Australia. I mean.
But as well, the only thing I gotta say is that Erceg is just a well-rounded fighter. He can strike, he can submit you. He's also very good for endurance. He can take damage very well. Kai Kara France has proven, he can be a little he doesn't take damage too well. He's been finished by the body. He's been finished by by KOs before too. But as well too, I do give Kai Kara France some credit. He does have a lot of power in those hits, and this could be a nice bounce back and a win that nobody will see coming. I do personally have Urseg to win, and I'm only taking his money line. This will not be on my parlay that I'll be giving out to you guys, but as well, I do see Urseg getting the win, but I do not hate the fact that if you got Kai Car France, I think this will be something that nobody will see coming. And as well, I think Kai Car France can pull that off and everything too. You know, I can even maybe even see him winning by KO. I don't know. It's just a weird feeling I have. But when you said that, it kind of like, oh, okay, maybe he's onto something here.
Yeah, man. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's a good fight, man.
It is a good fight. It's a very interesting matchup. I love it. I think you went mute. Little technical difficulties. Well, if we had to get started, we have a little bit of technical difficulties right now. But if we had to get started on the main event now, we got Duplessis versus Adesanya. I've been seeing from our boy here that he's been throwing a lot of you guys have Duplessis to win the fight. And as well, too, I mean, odds-wise, Adesanya started at literally a minus 186 favorite and dropped all the way down to minus 120. So a lot of the money is going on Duplessis. A lot of people do see him winning this fight. As well, too, the only thing I have to say about Adesanya losing this fight is that I don't think Adesanya puts himself in a lot of danger when he's against a pressured fighter. Whenever he's put up against that gate, against the cage and everything, he's always puts himself kind of in a world of trouble. Same thing when he fought Blachowicz. Whenever he pressured him, he would take him down. When he fought Pereira the first time, Pereira went toe-to-toe with him, had him up against the gate, got the finish. And as well, too, Strickland, when he fought Strickland pressured, Strickland's one of the best pressured fighters in the UFC. That guy will be in your face 24/7. And I think that was something Adesanya did not see coming. And when he's up against that gate, he puts himself in a world of trouble. I think Adesanya's key to victory here would play the distance game, go back to his old roots, and become one of the be the best defensive fighter he used to be, and as well, just play the reach game, and as well use your striking to your advantage. And as well, too, Adesanya is one of the best does have one of the best takedown defenses. So Duplessis will be shooting for that. I don't think he's going to want to stand up with Adesanya too long. I think he'll be doing some level changes and will be trying to go for the takedown. So, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight, and a lot, like we said earlier, there's a lot on the line in this fight, especially when it comes to their legacy.
Okay, so that's the question, and that's something that we kind of got to break down a little bit on this is, do you think the emotions in this fight are going to help Izzy or hurt Izzy? Because it's going to do one of two things. Either it's going to make him completely refocused, it's going to make him completely, sharp, and it's going to make him into a killer in there. Or he's going to be so hyped up about wanting to hit Dricus that he doesn't or hurt Dricus that he doesn't, fight the way Izzy really fights.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like this fight comes down to. And I mean, it really all kind of depends on the fighter, because I can tell you from being in the ring that I used to always try to find something that pissed me off with the guy when I was younger. But I realized as I got older, that's not a good way to fight, because then you're trying to be more mad at the other guy than you are worried about, your game and what you're going to do inside the ring, or in this case, in the octagon. So I think it could help him or hurt him, but I think with it being in Australia, being that there's the beef, being that there's all that with it, I think Izzy's going to take that title from Dricus Duplessis in this fight. Now, again, like we've said, the theme to this whole card, though, is if Izzy doesn't win, I don't know where he goes from here. I don't know what the next fight is because he can't move up to 205. He's not big enough.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know, man. All I can say is if my man doesn't get the dub in this fight, it could be a big problem. So
Yeah.
do you think it's last picks and all that stuff? Who do you think's going to win, and how are they going to win?
Well, to answer your question, everything, I think the emotion wise, I think it does play a little advantage for Adesanya because when he took that first loss from Alex Pereira, that was tough. You could tell that hit him the wrong way because Alex Pereira was on a 3-0 win streak against him. When he used to fight him in kickboxing and everything, and I think he used that emotion to end up beating him the second time. It was bound to happen for him. When you fight a guy 4 times, I think you're bound to get a win and everything. But he did it in such a fashionable way where it was like, hey, is Adesanya really back? Like the old Adesanya that we used to love and everything? Because there was a lot of talk about Adesanya when he had the belt where he would be played too defensively and his fights were very boring. Like, we can talk about the time when he fought Cannonier. That was a very boring fight, we just want that. I think when he's looking at this fight to get that old Adesanya back, and since he lost to Strickland, we're looking at the same emotions that he's going into that he fights to Plessis to get that belt back. And as well, he's been training. He got bigger. He grew a lot of muscle. The guy's not skinny no more. The guy actually grew a lot of muscle for this fight. So I think he's prepared. I think he's preparing himself mentally wise and physically wise for this fight. And I think if he can avoid getting takedown by Duplessis, like avoid the takedown in this fight, I think he has a good shot to win this fight and everything. I do like Adesanya to win, and my bet is for Adesanya money line to get back his title, and it would be by decision at plus 260.
All right. So we got to put together a parlay. Since you're the bet guru, I will let you go first while I decide off of these odds how I'm swinging with this one.
Okay, so my parlay first bet will be the Leech and Pratis over 1.5 at minus 160. That's the first leg. This is a 3-leg parlay. That's the first leg. The second leg, I got Gamrot by decision at minus 125. And to end it all off, I know it was a lot right on this main event, but I got Adesanya money line, and that parlay equals up to plus 436. 3-leg parlay, that's it. Keep it simple.
Run that down again. So you got the over 1.5 on the Leech fight, and then what are the other 2 legs?
The Leech over 1.5 in the Leech fight. I got Gamrot by decision at minus 125, and I got Adesanya money line at minus 120 to end it all off and to get us the cash out.
All right, tie for knockout. I like it. I mean, if he's gonna win, bro, he's gonna knock somebody's head off. So, Tai Tuivasa, you know what you're getting in there. I hope we see a shoey, but I feel like again, like we've been saying the whole show, I feel like this card is one of those cards where it's like the guy who's on top against the guy who's trying to take that spot, and it's like, can the guy who's already up there hold on for this one? Or is the next guy up going to take it? Not that in Rosenstrike, it's necessarily like a young guy coming up, but like in a fight like what we've got with Duplessis and his Adesanya, like we said, there's a lot to ride on that fight. And the Dan Hooker fight, if Dan Hooker loses, that's really going to kind of put him back down the rankings. But if I've got to make a parlay for this one, I love how it's not showing me the Kai Kara France ones. That's awesome.
Yeah. If I had to pick an underdog for this fight, if I had to pick one underdog, it would be Tai Tuivasa to get back in the win column.
I mean, it's the perfect fight for him to have that.
Yeah, especially
it's the perfect fight for him to have that with their style. It makes him an easier guy for him to try to knock out. Not that it'll be easy by any means, but I mean, that's the right style matchup for a guy like Tai Tuivasa. And I think the UFC knew what they were doing when they put this fight together, especially with it being in Australia. I feel like they wanted to give him as good a chance as they could have for him to show out and put something on the fight. But with that being said, man, I've looked through it. I'm looking at the odds. I don't think Dan Hooker is going to win. I'm thinking I'm going Izzy. I'm gonna go Izzy, Kai Kara France, and see, now I'm back and forth of whether I want to take Biggie Boy or I want to put Tai Tuivasa on there, because Tai Tuivasa has the plus money.
Yeah.
But something tells me, like I said in my actual pick, I think Rosenstrike gets it. But man, at plus money like that, if we're trying to throw together parlays that are going to make some money real quick, I'm thinking Tai Tuivasa, Izzy at minus 130. And you know what? I'll go with what you said. I'll go with the over a round and a half in the Pratis fight.
Hey man, do you know how insane it would be if Tai Tuivasa gets the KO in Australia and he does a shoey?
It would
in
be
his home
shoey
country?
everywhere.
It would be
Although those of you
insane.
guys who are new here, you know, when J-Bone comes back, when we do this episode that I'm hyping you guys up for on Tuesday to talk all things TNA wrestling, look here. J-Bone has still never paid up on his shoey that he's had against Joel Bateman, who, our boy from Australia, who came over here and beat our guy Tommy Vendetta. He's never paid up on his shoey. And I'm just saying, we need to make J-Bone stop being a bitch and do his shoey. I did mine. There's video proof.
Yeah, run the shoey. Do it, man. So get the shoe, put some beer, put a Corona in there, and just
get you some cervezas. We gonna be all right, man. J-Bone had plenty of that margarita when we were in Vegas, man. But yeah, all right, run him down. He's got his parlay. Like I said, for me, I'm gonna go Tai Tuivasa, Izzy, and the over on Li Jing Liang. Although, if you're asking me who I think's gonna win straight up, I do think Rosenstrike wins that fight. Drop Zone. You got to let everybody else know what other things they can check you out for betting, because, like I said, I won money the last time you came on the show. I'm hoping that this trend continues, even though it was my parlay that hit the last time you came on.
Yeah, man. I give out all my picks for free. I don't do no Discords, no paid picks, no VIPs. I love doing this all for free. I love to make people money. I do mostly UFC, NFL, basketball, everything. And all the picks I give out are for free on my Twitter and Instagram. And sometimes
Ooh, that's a big parlay. My man says he's got a 7-leg parlay with Ty. Who's the parlay? Damn.
Hey, he's right. He's got a lot riding on Ty. I can tell you that. But yeah, like I said, I do all my picks for free. Everything is posted on my Twitter and Instagram at Dropzone211. Like I said, I have any questions, just DM me. I give out prize picks, best bets, all that, everything that you need to get you a parlay win or to win some money. I got you.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I need to win some money like I won the damn Money in the Bank in this bitch. That's what I need to happen right now. I need to win me some money. We need to get at it. With that said, I'm really looking forward to this fight card. I'm looking forward to what we see next. I'm also on the look. Past guest of the show and one of the hottest prospects in MMA in this motherfucker, our guy Austin Bashi, will be fighting for Dana White's Contender Series coming up early September. I'm telling you, this kid is not somebody you want to miss. Hear me when I tell you. You will hear this kid's name, and people are going to be shocked when he gets in the cage. I've gotten to call a bunch of his fights now for Lights Out Championship. I'm telling you, if you keep an eye on any of the prospects, you've already heard this kid's name. Go back and check out our last episode on Knockouts and 3 Counts with Austin from his fight for XFC. And without any further ado, you know, I told y'all that we got some heat coming your way next week, and the start of our coverage of TNA Bound for Glory is going to be coming to you starting next week. We are going to be sitting down with the indie god himself, Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. We got a lot to talk about, man. He crashed our guy PCO's wedding with Steph DeLander and cracked him with a fucking brick. So I got to ask him why he did that. And you know that PCO is going to be trying to get his get back, so if he popped up in there, I wouldn't be surprised either. And like I told you, that's not all that's coming from the world of TNA with Bound for Glory making its return to Detroit at the Wayne State Fieldhouse. You might want to stay tuned, because somebody else who might be holding one of these might be joining the show soon. So until then, in the next time and in between time, whether you're watching us on Body Slam, whether you're watching us on Knockouts and 3 Counts, or wherever you're consuming this, we appreciate y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Shout out to our sponsors, Potter's Tree Service. Asa Potter is the way to go. If you need your lawn cut, he'll get you together too. Don't call Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Call Potter's Tree Service and make sure you're watching Knockouts and 3 Counts because you got to win some money. Thanks to me and Dropzone. Until next time and in between time, hit that motherfucking subscribe button. Peace.